Yes, folks, you read that title correctly. It's time to try out After Inc. Hey, folks, my name is Pravus, and I have been receiving a lot of requests from you guys to try out the latest game released by Endemic. And in many ways, After Inc. is intended to be a sequel of sorts to Plague Inc. Not in terms of gameplay, not at all. It's very different, actually, but more in terms of some sort of a continuous story. Imagine a world where the Necroa Virus actually did run rampant and destroy human civilization, but a select few people did survive for a time in bunkers. But now they must re-emerge into a zombie-infested world and rebuild their home. And that is the premise of After Inc. Now, my original plan was to check out this game when it comes out on PC in 2025. However, I received so many requests from so many people, at some point I caved, and what you are seeing here is indeed the mobile version that is currently available to all of you. Yes, this means that I am indeed now a mobile game channel. I shall never recover from this. But even so, let's go ahead and start up a new game and I will show you how this is going to work. The purpose of this video is really more to give you an introduction to After Inc. and the concepts contained therein. But don't you worry, Mega Brutal guides will follow in the future. Now, for this mobile version of the game, there are actually two different campaigns you can play with. One is actually locked behind a DLC, which I'm not going to worry about right now. But the free game contains the survival campaign, and this is 8 different missions of graduating difficulty, starting at kind of a tutorial level, but introducing more and more difficult concepts until by the end it actually becomes a fairly difficult game. When you first start playing this game and you play the first couple of levels, you'll think that After Inc. is an absolute breeze, but by the time you get to the end of this campaign, you'll realize it's actually very in-depth, and at the high difficulties, there is a specific build order and approach that you really need to follow, and it's going to be different for every single mission because the goals do change. But I'll explain more about that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and take kind of a middle-of-the-road mission, right? Not too difficult, but kind of introducing some difficulty. This one is called Slumbering Swarm, all right? We're going to choose our settlement leader. Now, the survivor is the classic choice, and he's who I'm going to go with. Though you might recognize the economist. She looks suspiciously familiar from Rebel Inc. and actually functions kind of exactly the same way as Rebel Inc., but we can talk more about that later. We can choose a population trait. I'm going to go for positive outlook so we can explore a couple of regions for free, have some extra starting resources, and generally a happier population. And I'm only going to play on brutal difficulty for this video. Don't you worry, the Mega Brutal will come later, but no reason to tip my hand. I need you guys to come back to this channel and find my guides later, right? So this is going to have to be good enough. Before we get started though, if you would allow me a small indulgence. If you have ever wanted to support my channel, this is now literally the best time ever to do so with the introduction of the Pravus desk mat merch. With this desk mat, you too can demonstrate your devotion to the cult of Pravus. The artwork, I think, speaks for itself. It's absolutely beautiful in its natural red coloring, though if you want to be a contrarian, there is also a gorgeous blue-purple variant as well. And this is not your average desk mat. It's actually high-quality merch. I know, that's rare on YouTube these days. Which is why I'm proud to say that it's selling for only $39.95. And that's a great price. Here's the catch though, this is only going to be available until January 1st, and then this is gone forever. It will not be coming back. So you better hurry if you want to pick one up for yourself. Oh, but Pravus, this is manipulative tactics. You're trying to give us FOMO. Yes. Is it working? Head on over to epicdesk.store/collection/Pravus if you want to know more about the glorious Cult of Pravus desk mat. But don't worry, even if you don't buy one, I'll still love you, just not as much. And with that, back to the video. It is time to rebuild. The zombies nearly breached the bunker when the door malfunctioned. It's only a matter of time before more come. We will die down here if we don't leave now. A lot of people used to live in this region. That means there's a lot of zombies swarming us if we are not careful. Our first priority should be to explore the area and see how close they are. So welcome to the game. Now, in every scenario, you only have one region that is explored, and that is where you are automatically going to settle. And immediately you can see that there are more regions that we can take a look at. I'm going to go ahead and use my exploration discount to immediately discover 2 of them, which gets me a little bit of extra food and some wood. Now, what you're going to do is start generating these points up here called stamina, and depending on what your leader is, that may go a little bit faster, it may go a bit slower, you'll get the idea, but you'll use that to accomplish just about anything in this game. So for example, right now, if we take a look at this overview, we could see we could build out some tents to grow our population, which is free, but does increase our consumption of food, water, whatever else it's going to be. We could train up some fighters, we could research some technology, technology. We could build out more services for our people, or, of course, we could start building out our economy and resource generation. So if I take a look at water, for example, right now we are consuming more water than I produce. That's a problem. Let's go ahead and immediately build up a small well. This is going to boost up my water production at the cost of 1 stamina and at the cost of 1 wood, right? That's how that works. We'll also spend our stamina to claim different regions that we explore. So for example, I want the food source over here and the wood production over here. So I'm going to go back to our resources. We're going to say we now want to spend some stamina to get ourselves some grain fields so we can boost up some food production and become more self-sufficient. I'd also like to go to our lumber yards over here, but I don't have 2 stamina. We're going to have to wait for that to generate, and then we could start building up some wood production. And you need wood for just about everything in this game, so it's kind of important that you have a decent source of it. Your other options include building out more storage, so you have more storage capacity for resources, or you can scavenge for different resources. And this kind of works the same way as in Plague Inc. and Rebel Inc., where you can pop bubbles in order to gain different points, but this only lasts for a short time. So the question is it worth spending 1 stamina to get, let's say, 3 or 4 wood, or would it be worth spending the stamina trying to build out the permanent source up over here? And that's kind of a trade-off that you'll have to decide about. The other thing to keep in mind is your goals. Every scenario has different goals that need to be accomplished. If you do not accomplish them in a timely fashion, you will start losing points called authority. This is kind of like your reputation from Rebel Inc. If this ever goes down to 0, you lose the game. So you have to keep this above 0 at all costs. This goes down again from things like impatience. It goes down from having very low morale amongst your people. A lot of things can hurt you if you are not paying attention. So be mindful of that. I'm going to go ahead and build out a tent over here, start slowly building up the population of this area. The more population we have in a city, the more stamina we do produce. So that's kind of the trade-off is I get more points to spend to build things up, but I have to spend more food, more water, more firewood, etc. And I also have to meet the needs of a lot more people. So it's a bit of a risky play there, but I think it's going to be worth it. I do need to get a little bit more water because right now we are going back down to only meeting enough production to meet our consumption. I'd like to have a slight surplus. After that, I need to start thinking about the morale of my people because if we don't have enough water, you can imagine this is going to start going down, right? Stuff like that can happen. So now we should be more or less okay across the board, not thriving, but okay. Let's get ourselves a makeshift fire pit, right? This is going to help boost up our morale. It also means that we are going to have to worry about fuel consumption, another resource for us. Okay, that's fine. We could also build out some toilets. This increases our water consumption, but reduces the chance of dysentery and gives us more morale. Sometimes you will be getting some pop-up events, right? That could be food poisoning, it could be dehydration, things like that, and it's going to cost you some stamina and or resources. Reducing the likelihood that those events pop up is actually a very important part of the game. So here's an example of food poisoning. Spend some water, which I only have 1. We have an 8% chance of nausea and losing a bunch of food as people upchuck it all. If we don't do anything, somebody could die, and that would actually be disastrous. Or we could rest, but then my stamina generation is paused, and that would be terrible. So let's try for the fluids, ends up being just fine. Okay, no problem. Construction is paused right now because we are out of wood. That is a major problem. I'm going to go ahead and do some scavenging. This gets more expensive the more times you do it. But in the early game, I do find that going for that extra wood is actually kind of important. So let's do that. Let's also get ourselves a basic toilet, which we'll need wood for, but this at least meets some of the basic amenities at the beginning of the game. And then I need to explore 2 more areas in the game. It's actually very important I do that soon because we're already starting to lose some authority due to the impatience of our people. And that's where really we could spend, let's say, all of our points just going for let's say the exploration early on, but then we're slowing down some of our economy. So that's kind of the trade-off, right? Like, can I afford to lose a little bit of authority? What's the perfect build order, right? You know, that's the kind of thing I got to figure out, and it's not always easy to decide. There's the extra population, so we get a little bit of extra stamina there, which is great. We do need to start getting some firewood splitters, because I need some fuel production to start getting us through the summer, but also for the winter. When winter hits, which only happens, I think, around like the 3rd level in the campaign, you are unable to grow food, and you're going to consume a ton of fuel. You need a very hefty stockpile of both. And this is where people start running into the difficulty of the game and realize they have to plan further ahead than they thought. We're only barely making it work right now with our production of water, by the way, so we'll go ahead and build that out as well. As long as we explore this 4th region, we should be able to meet our needs. We've lost 7 authority there because I kind of took a while, but I think it's fine because in the long run, we're going to end up being a little bit more stable. So that accomplishes that goal. Now we see we have no more emergency rations. We need to produce just 3 food in order to accomplish our goals here. Well, that's fine. Let's go ahead and claim another region over here, and we will be able to get some additional grain fields. Now, one thing to note, this did cost 2 stamina earlier, right? But we also couldn't upgrade it because, well, we're kind of at our capacity until we upgrade our technology. But now that we have a 2nd region that is capable of producing grain, this resets back down to 1. We'll be able to build a grain field down over here, and then we won't be able to progress any further beyond that. You'll understand more about how that works in just a little bit. We've got 2 stamina here. Is there anything else I want to do right now? Great question. We could go for another tent, and I'm going to. That's fine. I'm also going to go ahead and start building out some storage so we can store more food for the winter. And I think we may want to do the same for our fuel. Or we could go for another well, because once the population goes up, I'm going to need it. Or we could just actually sit on our points and do nothing for a minute. And that's also completely viable. Maybe explore another region nearby and see if there's any resources I could take advantage of, which is exactly what I am going to do. Currently, morale is sitting at pretty fine. The more population you have, though, the more amenities you're going to need, and at some point, you're not going to be able to build things like, let's say, a makeshift kitchen. For that, you need technology. Technology unlocks new buildings. It also lets you level up your existing buildings. So instead of having a level 1 grain field, we'd have a level 2 grain field. It lets you build dense. And that's very important in a game where the zombies might kind of cramp you into a small corner of the map. So technology is kind of your way of escaping that trap. I am going to need some technology. There's also a bit of rotten food. We're going to have to throw some away, and we did indeed get some nausea, so morale goes down. That sucks, but okay. I do need to get myself some technology, or we're going to have some problems. So let's go ahead and start researching that now, because once we get up to population level 3, I know I'm going to need things like the makeshift kitchens, and I'd like to have the technology ready to go. Now, you see there's a little bit of noise happening over here. This actually means that there are zombies around, and they are possibly moving. We need to get ourselves some fighters trained up, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Fighters are your basic military units. They work very similarly to Rebel Inc. as far as how they deal with, effectively, insurgents. That's kind of what the zombies are in this game. So the training over here on the right. We can also see up here in the top right that we are approaching winter. Once we get to, like, October, November, that is going to happen. We found a Cult of the Black Glass. Okay. We could seek some wisdom, and relics are going to increase our authority, which could be kind of fun, though it does mean that our scavengers no longer hunt for any wood or food or anything else. We could worship the relics, gain morale, but then lose a lot of stamina. Or we could debunk it, lose authority, gain a lot more stamina production. Dangerous, because I like my authority, but the extra stamina production would be huge. Dang. All right, that did not get me what I was hoping for. We're also being attacked by zombies up in the north. All right, so I really need to have these units ready to go. I would like to claim another region down over here, but let's go ahead and first place the unit. What we can see if I click on this tile right here, we can see our current fighter strength versus our zombie strength. Also, we can see the health of our unit. If our health drops down to 0, the unit dies, and that would be a small problem. As long as you're stronger, though, you'll be fine. You can get reinforced by your base. You generally are stronger fighting in your own defensive territory, and if you have multiple fighters, they can reinforce each other. Exactly the same as Rebel Inc. Let's go ahead and get that population. Now, I know I need to get things like the makeshift kitchen immediately, so let's do that. That boosts up my food consumption, which is a problem. We can also start going for the extra grain and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's go to fuel, get another firewood splitter since we have the technology for it. And water's currently looking okay, so I'm going to ignore that instead. Let's get some improved housing built up. Once we have the wood anyway, which is going to get rid of a tent, build a better home, and boost up our morale. You've got to stay on top of this at some point, or you're going to have a problem. I need to train a second fighter according to the game. All right, fair enough. More zombies just came in, and all of a sudden we are in a little bit of danger. Well, that's a problem. Okay, I need to get myself a 4th stamina point so I can train up another fighter and get some reinforcements. You can still win even though it looks like they're stronger than you. In this case, you can see we actually were able to reduce their strength, so we're still okay. But you've got to be careful about not charging gun-ho into the unknown space. Then you get surrounded by too many zombies, and we've got a huge problem. We're going to go ahead and train up that extra fighter. Let's just go ahead and do that since we know we're being attacked right now. Trying to boost up that morale because I've got some extra housing and stuff. That's great. But winter is indeed coming, and that's going to be a huge problem for us. So let's take a look at our resources. I don't have a lot of food. I definitely don't have a lot of fuel. I'm feeling a little bit concerned about that. With 2 extra points, I'd like to get another, but I need to have technology level 3. What we really want is to find ourselves another forest that I can take over. So let's do that. Scan down here. It looks like there's going to be some more forests, but we do need to claim another adjacent region for that to work. Let's pick this one up because this is deer. Deer you can continue producing throughout the winter, so it's worth having to kind of stave off some of your food consumption, at least a little bit. Here's a little bit of extra food, a little bit of extra logs. That's great. We've got our extra fighter, so now we're going to be kind of defensive. We have a little bit of extra authority for finishing that goal. Now we need to clear this entire area of zombies. There are 3 different regions that need to be dealt with. Fair enough, we'll come back to that. For now, I just want to survive winter because it just hit and we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. I do not have nearly enough fuel. In fact, I kind of feel like we need to do some scavenging first, right, just to get some temporary boosts while I get myself another firewood splitter over here, and hopefully that staves things off. Sometimes you're just going to have to do some scavenging, right? There's just no way around it. Be prepared. It's going to be fine if you can stay on top of that, but if you ever run out of a key resource, well, then you're going to be in some trouble. Apparently, though, I need some fuel here to avoid some frostbite. I'm going to have to ignore this, but this is going to be a problem. Morale goes down as a result. Having lots of extra resources on hand is kind of how you survive a lot of these problems, so be aware of that. Let's get the hunting lodge built up just so I have a little bit of extra food. We are scavenging some fuel that's barely keeping me alive for the moment. What do people say that they want? Town squares? Sure, this would be a great way of getting a lot of morale. Also reduces the chance that settlers are going to leave the city. If you ever get to a point where you're below 0 morale, you can go into the negative. There's a chance that your population abandons you. This helps reduce that likelihood, but it does cost 3 stamina, which is kind of a lot at the moment. Still, might be worth it. We're doing okay on food. I could also just get myself another makeshift kitchen, reduce the likelihood of some food poisoning, keep that morale just a little bit higher. I think that's fine. The more population we get, the harder it is to keep track of all of people's needs. But again, the more stamina you generate, and it ends up being very, very useful. Let's go ahead and start exploring some of the nearby regions. If you do have fully explored areas around where you're fighting the zombies, it is a little bit easier to deal with them. Also, you can taunt zombies to come and attack you and get away from the rest of the swarms. If I were to move in here right now, what would happen is I fight these zombies, these guys would come charging in, and I would be overwhelmed, and that would be a problem. Speaking of overwhelmed, we are actually getting attacked down here in the south. Let's go ahead and quickly redeploy. So taunting zombies over actually does make a lot of sense. I do need to get another firewood splitter. Let's go ahead and do that now. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to get myself another lumber yard just because I do need to make sure I stay on top of my wood production. Fighters are supporting each other. Yeah, that's exactly how I explained it. If we take a look over here, 20 strength against 17. Not the best situation, but we should be able to survive it. Your people do regain their health if they are sitting in your territory. Do be aware of that, so that's good. Also, we just discovered some body armor boosting up some fighter strength. Sometimes the random events are actually very helpful for you. Not always, but sometimes, and you should be grateful. Why did my morale suddenly drop down? We're recovering from older issues that it looks like I solved. Well, let's go ahead and get that town square. I know I don't have enough wood yet, but we're okay. We also just got through our winter, which means our fuel consumption and our food consumption is about to solve itself for the most part, so I'm not feeling too worried about it. That said, let's go ahead and claim another region and get myself another food source with the vegetable farm, just so I can rebuild this and make sure that I have plenty to survive throughout that winter. All right, so we're healing ourselves up here right now. We can go ahead and... Well, you know what I'm going to go ahead and do is move you guys over here, and we're going to taunt the zombies out of this region, if they're even over here. I actually don't think there are any zombies. I don't see any right now. So what I'm going to do instead is probably explore some of the other nearby regions and just kind of plot out my attack. I do not want to get swarmed. It is very easy to accidentally walk into a situation where like 100 strength zombies come and attack you because you just charged in blindly and you get absolutely obliterated and lose your game. I've had that happen to me more than once, I'm sad to say. Let's go ahead and spend a point getting some more storage for food now. We've actually already capped ourselves out. It's really fuel I have to worry about, though, more than anything else. All right, there's some zombies. We're going to move forward a little bit over here, just nice and careful. And if we have a fighter in an adjacent region, we can spend 1 point to go ahead and taunt them, which is what I'm going to do in just a little bit. Actually, we just spent the point. There we go. They should come rushing towards us eventually. And we'll also explore this region since I know that's another place I need to go. Gonna save a couple of points for the moment because I'm not sure what I'm going to need in a bit. We could actually try to go for a 4th population, though doing that might be a little bit difficult. It might be better to wait. A fire, okay, sometimes this does spend a bit of your wood. Hopefully you have, your water. Hopefully you have enough water on hand to prevent your wood from all burning up. These zombies are dealt with. Great, we can go ahead and claim this region and just kind of sit here for a little bit if we wanted to. We can get another food source, which is great. What I really want to do is probably move over here and eventually claim this region as well, just so we have another forest that I'll be able to work with. And again, if you have some fully explored regions around the zombies, or you have claimed territory, that slightly boosts up your strength when fighting. So it often does end up being worth it. I'm pretty sure we can go and charge directly into this. I don't think there are any other zombies from my previous playthroughs of this map, so I'm not too worried about it at all. I do need to get some more water production. I can see that it is currently, well, actually it's hovering okay, but it's going to be a problem in a little bit, so let's just go ahead and boost that up. Let's also get some storage for our firewood, and then since I've claimed another region, we can get more firewood splitters, more wood production, and so on. This is looking okay so far. Though I am quite certain we're going to get attacked down here in the south again sometime soon, so the sooner we can clear this out and move, probably the better. Also, I'm trying to avoid any more impatience, so we don't lose more authority, and we get the best score possible. Let's go ahead and move down over here now. That finishes that step. Explore the marked area to the south. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I know exactly what's down there, though, and it ain't good. We'll get some more hunting lodges and stuff. At this point, I feel pretty decent about my population. We have enough fuel and enough food being produced that we should be pretty good. I could actually consider going for a 4th population now, and I'm going to do that, even though it is going to make my life harder. It's going to get me access to a lot of other good stuff. Down over here, we could taunt these zombies out of here, and that is something that we want to do, clear that area. Too much food. Now it's going rotten. Yeah, if you overproduce, there are some problems too, but I say it's relatively minor. We could go for some more technology. This does boost up your fighter's strength, by the way, so if you find yourself not strong enough to face against the zombies, it might be that you need to get some more tech. This cost me some wood and some food, but that's fine. I think we are producing plenty. I'd rather go ahead and move on to the next stuff and be able to grab the next round of upgrades for all my buildings. Let's go ahead and taunt these zombies, by the way. Just bring them in over here. We can actually see their strength, I think. 22 strength? Yeah, bringing them over here is fine. There are more zombies in this region. I know this from experience. So if we went in, these 2 zones would come and charge me, and we'd have like 80 strength zombies coming to kill me. I'm not in the mood. We've got some new services available, by the way. A small tavern would be great for us. We don't have quite enough wood to make that work, but it's going to boost up our morale tremendously. And it looks like we actually already dealt with all the zombies over here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and move forward. I think it's going to be okay to take this region out now that there are no immediate defenders, so this should be fine. I also am having some wood problems. Let's boost up another lumber yard, which is going to get built over here. Hold on, we're going to get attacked. Let's go ahead and actually relocate real quick, move over this direction. It's going to take us a second. You can see if they do control this region over time, then you are going to take some damage here. If you can't react fast enough, which I did not, the area then gets abandoned. I hate when that happens. It's very annoying. Maintenance required. If I had some additional wood, we would be able to avoid an injury. As it is, I'm just going to have to accept it for now. Morale goes down. That sucks. Corpses. We could bury them. We could abandon them, which is terrible. Never do this. Or we could cremate and use some extra fuel. I'll go ahead and do cremation because this is free, whereas burying costs stamina. And stamina, at the end of the day, is kind of your most important resource. I'm going to claim this region, which accomplishes another goal. Our authority is looking halfway decent right now. We can now start getting some charcoal pits. Now, charcoal pits are upgrades for our firewood splitters. You will not have access to this when you first start playing this game. What you're going to find is as you complete missions, you will unlock new buildings or new traits or new leaders that you can use, exactly the same way as you would in Plague Inc. or something else. Now our goal for this map is to just kill all of the remaining zombies, and there are quite a few of them still hanging around. Let's get ourselves another fire pit, by the way. If we don't have enough fire pits, we get a lot of problems. And we'll get some more storage for food since we are currently overproducing, and probably more storage for our fuel as well. This basically guarantees that I'm going to be fine for the rest of the winters. Now I need to save pretty much all my stamina just to explore these regions and start pushing back the zombies. The faster we do this, the better the score is going to be for us. I also do want to reclaim this zone. I'm pretty sure that all the stuff that we built here kind of remains, but I need to have enough stamina to reclaim it, since we did unfortunately lose it. But, you know, oh well, that does happen sometimes. There we go. All those resources are back. Good. I'm gonna get myself up to 5 population, by the way, again, since at this point the bottleneck for me is gonna be stamina generation more than anything else. So the more stamina that I can generate, I feel like the better. At this point, I'll go ahead and start making use of some jump cuts just to kind of keep things moving along at a decent pace. Winter has come. We are now consuming a fair bit more fuel, but my production's actually looking really good, so I'm not worried. And we actually have a great amount of food production even to meet our consumption needs. So really nothing to worry about there either. That's good. We're gonna find some zombies here. I do want to taunt these guys away because I know there are more in this region. I don't want to get swarmed by anything. Let's send some fuel to try to prevent some frostbite. Good. And generally speaking, taunting zombies is just the right way to go. Call their mother's names or something. I don't care what it is. Just get them away from the rest of the group. In the DLC, there are some much more difficult zombie scenarios. For example, an entire massive half of the map that has, like, huge hordes of zombies that you somehow have to work your way around. Stuff like that can happen. And even in just the free game, at some point you're going to start discovering like little spawning locations for the zombies. And if you don't go clear out the infestation, they'll just keep spawning new things to attack you. Gonna make sure I keep building out some more of these amenities. If we want to go for the next round of tech, that could be very good for us. Then we will discover new resources. So far, you only have to worry about the food, water, fuel, and the wood. There are also going to be herbs, stone, and other resources in the game at some point as well. But right now, I'm not feeling too worried about it. I'd rather go ahead and just keep exploring and claiming land and moving forward bit by little bit. Winter's almost over, and we have enough food and fuel still stockpiled that I feel pretty good about our situation. Exploration cost just got reduced. Well, that's going to make my life a little bit easier later on. Thank you kindly. Let's claim this region and move forward. Looks like the zombie horde is actually moving forward already to come and attack the new place I just took. But that's fine. We're ready to go and fight them. There are still zombies over here that I can taunt in 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. There we go. Nice and efficient. Because I think there's another round of zombies right here, maybe another one up over here. So this is kind of where we're just using some tactics, right? Systematically moving forward, killing the zombies in small bite-sized groups, not pushing our luck too far. We're doing okay on authority. I'm not really feeling too worried at all. Zombies get crushed. We can now claim this region. Let's move forward. We now have more areas claimed, and actually by claiming so much of the map, we get a little bit of extra authority. That's going to boost up my score a little more. That's nice. Oh, and we have a dog attack over here. We're going to spend a stamina and hopefully not lose control of the region. Those are the really nasty RNG events that can cost you your game. Where, like, little things like that you can't control, like a random dog attack. Hey, look, a 50% chance this region just goes away, which means you lose all the resources you need, and you have to spend, like, 4 more stamina to reclaim it, and that just sucks royally. But there's nothing you can do about it, right? Let's go ahead and taunt over here. I like to explore some more regions, but the zombies are a little bit too strong, apparently. They do block you from, like, kind of reaching different areas. Right now, though, since they've left this zone and they're fighting here, we can go ahead and deal with them. We do have a limited number of scouts, by the way, so we can only explore one zone at a time. There are some events that I think will make it so you can explore, like, multiple places at a time, get more scouts. Same thing with building. You can actually only build one thing at a time, but sometimes you'll get events that let you have, let's say, some extra builders, and you can just build multiple things. Up to you, though. Let's go ahead and taunt these guys over here. I think this actually is going to be the last round of zombies, and then we should be done. So there we go. Let's see. Increase our fighter strength, gain more authority, or have a unknown outcome. I'll just take the authority just for a little bit of extra score. Why not? And how strong is this last group? Only 22 strength. We should be able to crush this relatively quickly. Good. Found sheep as another resource. This is another thing that you can continue farming for food even during the winter, which is nice. And that completes the scenario. All right, we accomplished all of our goals, and Kitten Bone will forge a new civilization from the ruins of the old. 4 out of 5 stars, 821 days. We ended up with 63 authority, 94% morale, 5 population on brutal difficulty. Not too bad. Now, the map is the same every single time you play it, right? It's not like Rebel Inc. where you never know where the rebel camps are going to spawn. It's always going to be the same, and that is across difficulty levels, I believe. So again, this is where really playing through every different level at a low difficulty, getting the lay of the land, that is what's going to let you start graduating up to things like Mega Brutal, and you know exactly how to build out your build order, though again, you have less and less margin for error. So that's a look at After Inc., everybody. It's an interesting little city builder. Again, very puzzle aspect, and there is going to be an optimal build order for everything, which means that my Mega Brutal guides are going to be that much more valuable. So when this game does come out on PC, you better believe that I am going to be playing it in depth. I'm going to create a guide for every different level, including some of the easy ones, but eventually it's going to get absolutely baloney. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative and entertaining in some way. If so, of course, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Don't forget about those Pravus desk mats, only available for a few more days. And I will see you guys next time.